Welcome back, Chaotic fans. Today we are going to be doing a video going over the beginner experience on Portal to Perim. So if you guys take a look here, this has been one of the most requested videos on the channel so far. Most people have tried the game but have gotten very confused about the mechanics and things that aren't very obvious. And unless you're on the Discord, which I do highly recommend if you guys have access to Discord, and you would have to have access to Discord in order to play Portal to Perim, but I would really recommend joining the Chaotic Discord. There's a Portal to Perim section. You guys can join that and discuss any problems or concerns you might have. For example, yesterday when I made this video, the site went down, and I don't think it's necessarily related to my video, but there was a huge amount of traffic and it basically crashed the site for a while, and not really the best timing when you think about it. You know, a lot of new players trying to figure out the game and are just being met with a ton of lag. So hopefully things will continue to be better now. It's already been smooth for all of basically today. More or less, the concern is I'm not really sure what to do. I don't know how I'm supposed to get scans. I don't know how to get my max or anything like that. So I have decided to make a fresh account for you guys here, and we are going to go through this together, and I'm going to give you guys the basics. I'm even going to teach you Chaotic today. Alright, so let's go ahead. Of course, we are on portaltoperim.com. One person's comment was very important to make clear. This is not official Chaotic, okay? So in October, when Chaotic comes back, the developer of this website said he's probably shutting this down. In fact, I'm pretty sure he said he's certainly shutting this down. So just a warning to everybody, when October rolls around, this site is going down. But that's still a lot of time to get familiar with the game, to play with friends and whatnot, and maybe get involved in the community as well. So yeah, let's enter. Of course, first thing you gotta do, you gotta log in with Discord. I noticed a few people were kind of upset about that, but if you see here, I have a totally blank Discord account. There's basically nothing on here, okay? So it's a fresh Discord account, no personal info, nothing like that. So you guys can definitely do that if you're concerned, but yeah, go ahead and join that. Now you're gonna be met with a tribe decision. You gotta pick which tribe you're in. This isn't permanent in the sense that you will never get overworld creatures if you pick underworld, or Danian creatures if you pick Mepedian. You certainly can scan for those in different locations, so just be warned though, this is going to be your deck for a while until you get a lot of scans and you can make different decks. Like, I started overworld, but I can definitely switch to Mepedian now if I wanted to. For this one, I'm going to keep it simple. I'm going to go underworld. I could show you guys Mepedian. Each tribe has two different decks you can choose from. So overworld has one deck that is focused on water and another one that's focused on your stats, like wisdom. And then underworld, same sort of concept. We have fire or power. Mepedian gets kind of interesting because now you have either air, or I believe it might be strike, or war beasts. And war beasts is like a totally different concept. It's essentially big, massive creatures with conjurers that keep them alive and support them in the back. It's fun. It's really tanky. It's really strong. But when the opponent can get to your conjurers, it's a pretty much GG. Danian is its own totally different thing. Danian has a lot to do with this thing called the Hive, which is essentially this mechanic that you can turn off and turn on, and you have different creatures that get different bonuses when the Hive is activated. We're not going to get into that. We're going to keep it simple. We're going underworld, and here, like I said, two different choices, fire or power. I typically would go the fire route, and that's just due to the fact that some of these attacks can be really crazy with fire. And you know, at the end of the day, this starter is kind of a personal choice. Some creatures are really good, like for example, Dardamus, really good. And then some are really bad. So like Czar is just bad. So keep that in mind. But we're going to go with fire here. We're going to claim this. Now, this part is the part that trips people up a lot, and this is one of those tips I'm going to give you that most people don't know about. These are totally random. So what you can do is you're going to pick your starter, and for example, these are not good, okay? So I'm getting water. I'm getting a battle gear that gives me water 5. I don't need that. That's not going to help me at all. And then I'm getting earth, which is okay. But a lot of these battle gear really stink. And the good thing is you can reset your account after this and get new cards. And you could just keep resetting it until you get something good. Now this isn't bad. Song of Fury, great card. Elemental Denial, great card. The rest of these, that's not bad. A lot of these not so good. So all of these are random. I believe the locations are pretty much always the same, but everything else is random. So this is yeah. We're going to go ahead and begin journey. Now you can customize your character. I'm going to skip that because we're going to reset. And I'm going to show you guys the power of resetting your account, because you want to start off as powerful as possible. You don't want to have like terrible music to start with. It's just going to slow you down. This is awesome that he's added in a tutorial, but I'm going to skip it. We're going to go to profile, and in the profile section, we can reset our account just like this. And then here we go, we can run it back again. We're going to just do this as quick as possible here. And let's see if we get something better this time. Vile Driver, this is huge. You definitely want Vile Driver if you can at the start. This is probably one of the best Underworld battle gear. The rest of these, not good. So it's good, but it's not good enough is what I would say. And if you can start with a Cannon of Casualty music, you will be very happy. Also, it does look like these are different too. So locations are different as well. That's pretty huge. So yeah, we'll skip again, and I'm just going to run this a few times now that you know how it works until we get a deck that we're happy with. Okay, so once again, my profile, reset account, okay. And then it's just going to bring you right back to the starter screen, and then you can do it all over again. So I would definitely do this a few times. Unfortunately, it's very RNG based, but you know, it is what it is. Skeletal Steed is huge. Vile Driver is huge. Heptad's Crown is pretty good. So now we've got 3 pretty strong battle gear. Lightning Canister, it's not very good. Wind Whip, very bad. And Mower Cycle, not good. So this is a tough one because it's kind of okay. You know, it's like just about to cross that line. If we get Cannon of Casualty, I'll keep it. Yeah. Alright, this is good. I'll take it. So we can destroy their battle gear with 2 of our Mujiks. And we've got Cannon of Casualty, and this will help us win discipline checks. And this is huge. So Mujik right here, this is actually insanely good Mujik. This gives us 30 life, this deals 20, this takes away discipline, takes away battle gear, takes away element types. We're going to run this. Even though we didn't get all the best battle gear, this is still very, very powerful. And Underworld Coliseum, Lava Pond, and Underworld City are all massive, massive locations. So we'll definitely run this. Yep, we'll actually confirm the avatar this time. So now we've got a decent deck, and it only took less than 5 minutes. So definitely worth your effort. And now that we're porting into the drones, I'll show you guys how this all works. So we've got the Perim Intel. This will tell us all about updates, but apparently we're not getting any more updates. So don't worry too much about that. Here's where you can view your deck. This will show everything you've got currently. Let's go ahead and make a pre-built deck. So in the My Deck section at the top, this is where you can make a loaded up deck. So I'll just call this main, as in my main deck. And here we can actually go ahead and set up our team. So for this, I want to make it very clear how you want to design your deck. This is an important part. You definitely want things like your Muges. I'll call this a Muge. So he essentially, he's going to stay in the back because he's got most of my Mujik. I want him to essentially be casting Mujik, protected in the back row. So let's put Toxis back there, and then let's look at our strongest guys. Probably Dardamus. He's got the most power out of everybody here, except for Ghoul actually, but Dardamus is one of our tankier, stronger guys, so we'll put him in the front. And then we'll keep on looking here. So what else do we have that's decent? She's kind of weak, and she has a Mujik, so we'll probably want to keep her in the back so that we can use her to cast before she dies, essentially. She's got Fire 5, which means her fire attacks will deal 5 extra damage. Unfortunately, she's only got 35 energy, which really hurts. Ghoul is a great guy. Unfortunately, his energy is very low, but he has range and swift, meaning he can actually move 1 additional tile onto the second row of the enemy. So he's somebody you want to put in the front and maybe take out one of the back guys on their team. Narfall, he's all around decent. He's okay. He's probably going to be our next front row, and then Swasa will probably be the one in the back here. So she's pretty good. She gave Swift 2, which if we put that on Ghoul, we can get Ghoul way in the back. So that's possibly not a bad move. Now we do have Heptad's Crown, which is awesome. This means we can cast Music from any tribe. So we'll put that on our caster, or our Muge, I guess you would say, Toxus. Now Skeletal Steed is awesome. We'll put that on Dardamus, because that lets Dardamus move... Or sorry, I guess we should put that in Ghoul, so that Ghoul can go all the way to the back. Dardamus gets the Vile Driver, for sure. We want to make him our beat stick, our main strong guy. And then unfortunately, the rest of these are not so great. Narfall can take the extra 5 energy, and then these guys will get the kind of useless battle gear, unfortunately. We don't have any choices to make for Music, so we'll just keep all of these. And then it's same with attacks. We don't have any choices to make here, so we will just go ahead and add all of them, and same with locations. Now you can save this, and every time you do a match, it's already pre-saved in here. You don't have to go and add each thing individually, and now you've got a pre-saved deck. So we are done with making our starter deck, and now we can go ahead and port to Perim. So this is the part that gets people kind of confused. They wonder, like, okay, I don't know how to scan. I'm in the overworld. First of all, let's move to the underworld. All of the locations that we got are actually officially now available to us in Perim. So what you want to do here is you want to figure out what sort of locations you want to be in, and on the Discord, I'll put a picture up. On the Discord, there is actually a list of what different locations can get you. So what that means is there is kind of like people who have done some research, and they've seen that if I go to Gothos Tower, I can start the Lord Von Blue storyline. And that's all obviously very important. So let's go ahead and scan that. Now, what you'll see here is we've got 2 different colored quests. The silver quest here doesn't really mean anything. It's essentially just going to give you an attack. And that's all it's going to do until you have every attack in the game. You can click any answer and it'll be correct. So this will give us a free attack. Shriek Shock, not bad. And you will get 2 copies of it. And secondly, this purple glowing one is a legendary quest. This is related to Lord Von Blue. So if you finish all of his quests, you will have Lord Von Blue. So let's start this. Now, I would recommend reading them. The flavor texts are actually very good, and the story is actually kind of cool. So in this one, I already know the answer. We don't have to read it. Essentially, we need to figure out if Von Blue should help by ambushing the escort head on, or suggesting an aerial intercept from above. We're talking about Von Blue, a flying creature. So if you were to read this, it would make sense that we would suggest an aerial pursuit. Yeah, Von Blue's smile is thin and genuine. So we passed, right? So now it says head to the lava pond. So from here, we've completed one section of the quest. We will get an attack, not a great one, but we will get that attack. And then now if we go all the way out of here and go to our profile, we can check our quests. And our only quest currently is Wings of Envy. So we need to continue this to get through here, and we will unlock what this V is highlighting, Von Blue. So essentially the next location we should scan is the lava pond. So if you check the portal to Perim and we go to the underworld, thankfully we actually have a scan of the lava pond. So that'll be the next place we scan after our timer comes up in 5 hours and 58 minutes. Essentially every 6 hours you can do a scan. You can do it from your phone, which is kind of cool if you wanted to. I would recommend trying that. You know, it's not, I wouldn't play a game on browser on your phone, but you can definitely get through the scans. Okay, so we've gotten that done now. Now the question is, where do we go from here? Well, let's do a match. We've got the league here, which this will show all of the top players who are currently ranked. I don't know if you necessarily want to start with ranked. We could try it and see what kind of matches we get, but generally this is going to be more difficult than if you just verse the AI for practice, or if you just challenge people unranked here. But let's try it. Let's try a ranked match and see how it goes. Okay, looks like somebody who isn't a top player, thankfully. Now we can load our deck here and click the deck we made earlier, and it'll just boot everything up immediately, which is awesome. So let's lock it in, and we're waiting for our opponent to lock it in as well. And then I'll show you guys how this match is going to go. So it's saying here it's the opponent's turn. So he's starting. That's just kind of like a coin flip situation. This is going to be his location, and he's the one starting. Or I guess this is my location. I'm not actually sure whose location this is. It's one of our locations, and the initiative is speed. So he's trying to see which creature he has with more speed so he can start. So he picked my Narfall, meaning he has more speed than Narfall, meaning he's going to have the first attack. Narfall's ability reduces Jawl's health by 5, which is great. Somehow I get the initiative on the first hit. I guess because I have more base speed than Jawl. Jawl just has more because of the mower cycle. Okay, this is crazy. Annihilation is going to hit him for 20. That's a great first attack because he's a Danian. So we're going to attack him and we're going to deal 20 damage. This is a really good start for us. Another thing I want to introduce to you guys is going to be how you build decks, but I'm going to move on to that later when I have more cards to use. Okay, so Matagor is going to hit us with 5. Not bad. Okay, we drew another Annihilation. I'm actually going to hold off on using that because it's really powerful, but I'm trying to set this card up. So we'll start with Reverberate. When one of them is in the discard, the second one will deal 10. Since we're so far ahead already, I think that's not a bad call. Delirium is okay. Alright, so that's another really strong card that we have. But I'm not going to worry about using that yet. We're just going to hit him with the Reverberate. And so far, so good. One of the main weak points about Underworld is our lack of Mujic. So we've only got 3 Mujics to use here, which is kind of a shame, but we should be okay anyway. We're going to take him out with the Ash Torrent. Luckily, though, 2 of our Mujic actually costs 0, which is pretty good. Okay, now we have a choice to make. We're going to be in the Underworld Coliseum. Initiative is speed. Let's see who our fastest guy is, which is Dardamus. Dardamus is our powerhouse, so we're definitely going to put him into whatever the strongest creature he has is. Let's see. I'm going to assume this might be one of our stronger guys, so we'll go into it. We're going to hit him with a Annihilation. This is going to hit for 30 because of the location advantage here, too. Actually, in fact, this is going to hit for 35. So this is one of the most fun things about, there you go, 35 damage. This is one of the most fun things about Underworld is they hit like a truck. I honestly really enjoy using it because sometimes you're hitting for 40s with flame orbs and sometimes even more than that. So it's a really, really fun deck type. I would say it's pretty straightforward as well, but it hits really, really hard, which is cool. Okay, so Steam Rage is going to hit for 10 because of our Vile Driver. So not bad, we'll do it. Technically, with the cards we have enough to take him out. Okay, Viper Lash, cool. So he's modified his attack deck, which is pretty sweet. Okay, this is just going to take him out. We'll go for the Ash Torrent. That's going to hit for 20. He's at 15. He hasn't tried any Mujic yet, which I'm wondering why, but it's all good. We'll see if now he decides to use some Mujic. And after we complete this battle here, guys, I will show you some other really interesting things, a little bit more in depth. I just wanted to get into the first fight, get into the action, show you guys how the game really plays. If there's any questions that you have or anything I may have missed, let me know. I've been trying to reply to everybody's comments. Okay, so he's deciding to cast a Mujic. I haven't really gone over those basics about what Mujic is, what attacks are. I might have skipped over that. Maybe I'll add that in. Anyway, he's infecting 2 of our targets. Now, that's a specific Danian thing. And essentially, it changes their effects. For example, Jawl, if he's attacking infected creature, Jawl gains Earth 5 and stuff like that. So, not a huge deal. Definitely a very expensive Mujic to play. Two Mujics is quite a bit. Okay, I am getting a bit of a bug here. No active burst. That's weird. Let's see if I can just fix this by... Let's just see if I just cast this. Deal 20. Cannot cast Mujic in phase, game over. Okay. So, a bit of a weird bug here. I'm not really sure what's happening. Let's just leave this one, I guess. We'll consider it a loss. I don't really know what happened there. But not gonna lie, that match was going very slow anyway. Anyway, so we'll go to my deck. Let me go over the basics of building a deck here. So we've got some new attacks, which helps. So let's go over how attacks work. So in Chaotic, there is essentially 20 attack points you can have allocated. And you also have to have 20 attacks. So if you think about it, you would say, okay, so you can only have, 20 attacks that cost 1. But it gets really creative when you consider that some attacks cost 2, which you can see in the top left there, and some attacks cost 0. So it turns into a balancing act of how much power can I get out of each card, essentially. That's the way I look at it. And I kind of do the math in a sense of like, I want my 1-cost cards to do more than 10 damage, because as you can see, that's pretty capable. So Ash Torrent is a great card. This could do technically 20 damage for 1 attack point. That is definitely a powerful card. You kind of want to play with that in your head. This is a great card too, Web Cocoon. It costs 1, and you'll see it only deals 5, but it gives my creature fire. And a card like Lord Von Blute only has Earth, but I obviously want to run him, so I can only really justify running him if I run Web Cocoon. Secondly, you see cards like Ember Swarm, which does 10 for 1. That's not as good as Ash Torrent, but it's still pretty good. I would definitely consider that. Inferno Gust, another great card that kind of looks like an Ash Torrent, just with instead of Earth, it's air, and without power, it's speed. So Ash Torrent is better because most Underworlders have very powerful power stats. So Ash Torrent is like the bread and butter, whereas Inferno Gust is good with cards like Von Blute, but not so good with others. Still definitely very powerful for 1. You essentially want to be able to do at least 10 damage for 1 attack point, and at least 20 or more for 2 attack points. And if you're going up to like 3 attack points, like Viper Lash, you better be doing like 30 damage or more, because that's a lot of cost in your deck. Every extra attack point means you got to run another 0 attack. Or 0 attack point card, which is not going to usually be very good. As you can see, this deals 5 damage if I have the right amount of speed. It could technically do nothing. So you do have to run these weaker cards. It's just part of the game, and that's part of any card game. There's obviously going to be a luck involved. Sometimes you will just draw all of your 2 costs and you'll just obliterate the opponent, and sometimes you'll be stuck with a bunch of crappy attacks. You can, however, in Chaotic, very well optimize. Like, that's what I like about Chaotic. It's kind of more like Pokemon than, like, let's say, Magic or Yu-Gi-Oh! Like, Pokemon has so many cards that let you dig through your deck and manipulate the cards on the top and stuff. And I wouldn't say Chaotic is that powerful or that consistent, but it's up there. Like, it's somewhere in between, like, Magic and Pokemon. So if you've played any other card games, if not, this just sounds like gibberish, but yeah, you're essentially trying to up the consistency here. If you were to see my other deck, my Overworld deck, it's a lot more consistent than this. But this is actually a pretty good starter deck here. So if we take a look, I'm actually, the only thing it doesn't show is how many attack points you're at. Because if I go ahead and put this in, now it'll say attack build cost must be 20 or less. Currently it costs 21, so that's too high. I will definitely want to add these in, but these really suck. These are not good cards. For 1 attack point, I'm essentially only dealing 5 damage, maybe more, but probably not. So yeah, that's kind of how attacks work. Music, you can have 6 music of any cost. You just have to have enough music counters on your creatures, which is this bottom left stat, to actually cast them, which I've only got 3, which is very bad. So in any match, I will not be able to cast all of these music. I will have to be selective about which ones to use. Locations, 10 locations. Some of them are going to be considered unique, which means you can only have 1 copy of them in your deck, but none of these actually meet that criteria. And some of the Underworld starter locations just suck. I've noticed it in the Discord. They're like, why do I have Everrain or Doors to the Deep Mines in a freaking Underworld deck? And yeah, I agree, it's pretty bad. However, locations are very powerful, and once you can have consistently like 2 copies of Lava Pond, 2 Underworld cities, 2 Underworld Colosseums, even the Gothos Towers, your power level goes up a lot with locations. People don't realize how powerful the right locations are and how weak the crappy ones are. Like, imagine it's my turn and I get all creatures with element type water gain 10 energy, and I'm versing an overworld deck. I just gave my opponent 10 life above me, and I got nothing for it, for my location. So that's very bad. But I understand that the creator, he made these decks to be somewhat thematic. It's not entirely just consistency. Like, a lot of these actually are in the underworld, so I get it. But man, some of these really blow. And when you do your scans, another thing I wanted to teach you guys is when you're scanning around Perim, if you want a location that you don't have, for example, let's say I want to unlock Iron Pillar right here. It's hard to see, but there's Iron Pillar. I don't have it unlocked. I have to scan an underworld city a lot until I, by complete chance, get a Iron Pillar, or I would get a Stone Pillar, or I might get a Carnival of Confusion. I would get any sort of location that is adjacent to the one I'm scanning in. So it's completely by chance, but I would scan directly next to whatever location you're looking for. So yeah, I guess that kind of sums up the basics. I do want to get into like advanced deck techniques and, because every single 6 hours, you're going to get 2 new attacks. And there are 200 attacks in the game. So you have to scan 100 times to get all the attacks, which, that takes if you're doing twice a day, that will take you, a couple months probably. But in that time period, you will build a pretty strong deck. So hopefully that makes sense. Let's go over, we've also got AI. These are great for learning because they make a lot of mistakes. The AI doesn't always do things correctly. For example, if you verse Kaz, his Takinom will just kill all of her own creatures to keep herself alive, which is crazy. Some of these opponents are actually very strong. Like Chaotic is very strong. Tartarwrecker is pretty strong. Battle Border is pretty strong. And then there's also tutorials. If you do want to learn how to play the game, there is a bunch of tutorials to show you how targeting works, how healing works, how certain abilities work. That's obviously pretty good. We've got live battles as well. So that's going to wrap it up here, guys. I think this gets the basics across. But there are obviously advanced things I could show you in a future video. But I really hope this helps. And yeah, that's all I've got for you today. So I'll see you all in the next one. Take care.